cardio help you lose weight? We've all heard it. Got to do your cardio. And I used to believe that too, spending hours sweating on the treadmill, chasing a calorie burn in the hopes of shedding a few pounds. But here is the truth. It didn't work. And honestly, it just made me exhausted and hungry. In today's episode, we're busting the cardio myth wide open. I'll walk you through the real science of how your body burns energy and why excessive cardio can actually backfire, especially for midlife women, and what to do instead to protect your strength, your time, and your sanity. If you're sick of being told to just move more to lose weight, then this episode is for you. Let's reset your relationship with movement starting now. Welcome to episode 19 of the Midlife Reset Podcast. I'm Cheryl Gordon, yoga therapist, and I'm on a mission to educate midlife women on how to lose weight, sleep better, and feel stronger using the tools of yoga and mindfulness. Now, here's the science around cardio exercise. Energy in and energy out works for things like nuclear fusion or basic electricity. But we are humans. Our system is dynamic and brilliant and considers so many complex variables that it can never be as simple as calories in and calories out. Even with mechanical things, like say the gas mileage on your car, it's never exactly as they advertise at the dealership because there's always like temperature or terrain or wind and so many other variables. And your bodies are infinitely more complicated than a car. So let's dive in. The body is designed to be ultra efficient. The first few moments of a brisk walk or a run or a cycle or a stair climb, this does tax the system. It rushes to cope with the changing load. But very soon, the body compensates and shifts in order to maximize efficiency. And why does it need to do this? Well, for most of human existence, we didn't have enough food. Everybody was starving a lot of times. Even my grandmother's generation, they were still dealing with food shortages. And we have evolved over millennia to conserve calories at all cost. And we're very good at making these adjustments very quickly. It's why humans have survived as a species so well. In fact, during episode 2 of this podcast, my colleague Charlene Stiles explained the total daily energy expenditure calculation really well. I'll put a link to episode 2 in our show notes. But this TDEE really makes it clear why blowing it out with cardio exercise is just not necessary to lose weight. Briefly, about 70% of the calories that you will burn today will be based on what's known as the basal metabolic rate. This is the energy your body needs just to lie around and breathe. And spoiler alert, we'll talk more in a few minutes, but this is why your personal trainer is going on and on about building muscle. Muscle requires more calories just to lay around than other types of tissue. So that's 70% for the BMR. Then you'll burn another 10% of calories today just processing the food you eat. So basically 80% of the calories you're going to burn today are just about surviving. You haven't got anywhere near a treadmill yet. Now, the next 15% of the calories you'll burn is about movement today. Just your normal movement. Going up and down the stairs to do laundry, walking the dog for a little bit, cooking your dinner, getting groceries. That's a lot of calories though, right? Like 15% of the calories you're going to burn today are just your normal amount of movement. Finally, only 5% will be related to specific exercise activities. I know that blew my mind when I started learning this. Like, shouldn't exercise burn more calories? Well, we're going to get into that. Even elite athletes still break down to this percentage we've been talking about. Even an elite athlete that does some Olympic level sport, they still only burn about 5% of their calories that day doing that sport. And here's why. Why wouldn't we burn a bunch more calories if we really like blew it out? Because remember, your body has evolved to be that super efficient machine. Okay, let me see if this is a way to explain it. I can't walk out my front door right now and run a marathon. I haven't been training for that. I don't have the endurance. I don't have the stamina. And, well, if I were super crazy, I could begin training. But another way to look at that is training is conditioning my body to accept greater and greater demands without a proportionate draw on my energy stores. What you consider blowing it out on the treadmill is actually something your body has seen before and it's ready for you. It will shift quickly into the most efficient expenditure of energy. So, training effect, which athletes look for, is actually just training your body over time. Doesn't happen at a finger snap. It takes sometimes years. Training your body to go in those more intense sessions, but not use too much energy. That's the training effect. That's the definition of it. So that's why elite athletes are still only burning about 5% of their calories today. Maybe overall, they're eating a lot more calories than you and I, but that's basically how it breaks down for the human animal. And this is why those calorie counters on your phone or your watch or on the exercise machine, like the treadmill, they're never accurate. They don't take into account usually that extra 15% of general living movement we talked about, the laundry, the groceries. That's where the real magic is. That's where I think we should really be looking if we wanted to build more calorie expenditure into our day. Research shows that just becoming more mobile through everyday activities can increase your caloric burn by about 500 calories a day. No jogging required. And the reason that this is so effective is the variability of the movement. You're not doing the same grocery run all day long. You're not doing the same up and down the stairs carrying laundry baskets all day long. You do it for a little bit and then you go and do something else. So it's that variability of movement. Your body never has a chance to get into stasis. It never has a chance to adjust because you're always hitting it with something new. Now, extending a cardio session will burn calories, but there's systemic costs. Repetitive movements, like your long state steady cardio, like cycling, can exacerbate imbalances in your muscle function, potentially inviting injury. As midlife women, the drop in hormones leaves us more vulnerable, particularly to soft tissue damage. It's just the way of the way it is for us. Think of how many people that have things like bad knees. Their knees are giving them trouble. So it's very, very common in midlife women to have shoulder or knee injuries. So pushing yourself to do a lot of routine cardio where you're doing the same thing over and over again for hour after hour every week really opens you up to injury. But here's what really freaks me out. Cardio load. So when you're doing cardio past 30 minutes, it starts to search for deeper fuel. When you first start doing cardio, it goes for the easiest fuel, which is the floating blood sugar in your system. But it burns through that pretty fast. And then it starts looking for deeper fuel. I wish it would go directly for my fat stores because all have lots of that, right? But it tends to go after the proteins before it goes after the fats. So I really think if we think about, back in ancient Greece, those couriers, they were running the messages between Athens and Sparta and all that stuff, and they were all ropey and sinewy. That's what long distance runners look like, right? So I really think we lose important strength and we're pushing unnecessarily when we go past, say, 30 minutes on a cardio activity. Hmm. My morning smoothie. I bet you're jealous. All kinds of foul things in here. So, muscle mass does decline year by year after about the age of 30. More so in women than men. It's not fair, I know, but it's the way it is. So, you know what? Next time you're at a hospital, and I hope it's no time soon, but if you are at a hospital, look around. Count the women who have fallen and broken something. It's a lot. They may be a little older than you are now, but when they were your age, maybe they pushed on the treadmill too, thinking they were staying in shape. No one explained that they needed to prioritize muscle and strength. I've seen this with my own mom and with my clients, and it really does frighten me because we're just so vulnerable to those breaks as we get older. So when you combine the erosion of muscle mass with the hormonal changes women go through, you can see the risk of what the medical community calls sarcopenia. It's a general weakening of strength that leads to frailness and that risk of falls. Did you know sarcopenia is the #1 killer of women who are over 65? If you look at all the accidents that women over 65 have, it's that human frailty syndrome. It's falls that are the #1 mortality risk. So I'm talking about something that's really life and death for us midlife women. If you're with me so far, maybe you're willing to admit pushing yourself to burn more calories on the treadmill is not the greatest system. But I want to even bring something else into this. I'm really hammering home this point with you today. The biggest cost may be the time necessary to do those long cardio workouts. Because you know that you're going to have to go on that treadmill for an hour. You're going to have to cycle for 3 hours to burn the calories that your watch tells you need to burn. And this takes hours and it takes time away from the joyful activities you may have preferred to do. And I'll tell you, it can leave you quite exhausted afterward. When I was working full time, feeling like my desk job was causing me to gain weight, I would push and go to the gym after work. Well, I'd spend maybe 40 minutes on the treadmill. I wanted to get to 400 calories, right? That was my goal. And then I'd move on to the stair climber sometimes. And I thought that was the cross training. And then I'd get home thinking, hey, I've burned 600 calories, feel really good about that. But I was exhausted and I was starving to death. And there's no personal chef in my house, I'll tell you. Back then I had two teenage boys with the classic when's dinner as soon as I got home. Well, what do you think I was thinking? Let's just order pizza. I can afford it because I worked out, right? But you can tell over the time, I can tell you in my own experience, and the research bears it out, that over the years that I followed that system, I never lost weight. In fact, I was gaining weight slowly but steadily, and I just got more and more exhausted, and I ate less and less healthy. Because I was starving to death by the time the pizza got there, I gobbled like 4 slices of pizza without blinking. And that's way more than 600 calories. It doesn't take any time at all to blow through 600 calories. But isn't it important? I hear this all the time from my clients. Isn't it important to get your 10,000 steps in for cardiovascular health? Man. Now, getting the blood pumping is excellent for overall health. But did you know that 20 to 30 minutes of an activity provides the full cardiovascular benefits? There's some really good information and research coming out of McMaster University from Hamilton, Ontario. It's been a leading force in the international research around this for over 20 years. Cardiovascular benefits can be gained in just 20 or 30 minutes. And really, if you want to look at maximum calorie burn, you want to look at high intensity interval training. Remember, I talked about variability, how changing the activity a lot keeps your body kind of guessing what's coming next and it can't go into that efficiency mode. So high intensity interval training, this can be something you do in a class. And the workout only needs to be about 20 minutes. You don't need a full 1 hour HIIT workout, by the way. You're just, again, opening yourself to injury and unnecessary time waste and all this stuff. 20 minutes is plenty for HIIT. But you can also do this like on your bike. If you love cycling, I like to dance. So dancing is a great opportunity to practice HIIT. Hiking, I really enjoy hiking. So if you're doing varied terrain, like lots of hills and rocks and things like that. And then sports. I know pickleball, it's not my thing, but it is the fastest growing sport in North America. So I know lots of my friends and my grandchildren love it. But pickleball is actually a pretty good hit workout because you're running to do this and doing that and doing this. So think of how you can take your favorite activities, make them more intense for a short period, and vary the load a lot. Now, here's the math. I hope I don't lose anybody because if you have math phobia, but compare the time invested. Okay. So in the old days, we thought we needed to get 10,000 steps a day in order to be fit. Okay. Now, I don't know about you, but for me to get 10,000 steps in on a walk probably would take me an hour and a half. And I hoof it at a pretty good pace. So if I do that 7 days a week, you got to get 10,000 steps a day, right? That works out to 10.5 hours per week. So that's what I've invested in my cardiovascular fitness. Now, what McMaster University research and all this other stuff I'm telling you adds up to is that we don't need that long walk every day in order to get cardiovascularly fit. We only really need 30 minutes, probably 4 times a week. And that gives us our cardiovascular fitness. 30 minutes, 4 times a week equals 2 hours. So on a weekly basis, I can do the 10,000 steps and spend 10 and a half hours, or I can do what the research says and I can do 2 hours. That gives me an 8.5 hour gift of free time. That's like a whole day off from work each week. What would you do with an extra 8 hours this week to do whatever you want? Because fitness, check. I think that's mind blowing. I'm so freaking excited that I can have that time back and not feel guilty that I didn't get my 10,000 steps in. So the answer is no. Cardio doesn't help you lose weight. As a standalone, I should say. I wouldn't say it doesn't help you lose weight at all, but if you're counting on cardio as your weight loss, no, no. Now, moving is super important for all your body's systems. You don't think a lot about your brain health, but this is super important for your brain health. Moving is so important for your mood. It gets you out socializing. It really helps to build your confidence, your proprioceptive intelligence, something we'll talk about on another podcast. But it's good for your confidence, your balance. So good. I teach movement for a living. I need to get you moving all the time. So, take that Zumba class if it's going to be fun. Go for a pack walk with your dog. Enjoy the paddle. Just don't push yourself with the thought that you will burn calories and lose weight. And you can learn more about why calories in and calories out doesn't work for midlife weight loss in that episode too. So that link will be in the show notes. And what about yoga? Because that's what I do, right? Yoga. And I'm going to give you a hell yes for the yoga. Now, we'll talk more about this on an upcoming podcast, but yoga is great for strength building in so many ways. If you are reluctant to take up a practice because maybe you do have some injuries or you're worried if yoga would be safe for us as midlife women, you'll want to download my absolutely free essential guide to yoga for women 50 plus. I will explain exactly why yoga is essential to your fitness program, and I will give you the safety tips you need to use this amazing, amazing movement practice for decades to come. So that link again will be in the show notes to get your free essential guide to yoga for women 50 plus. I really hope you found this interesting. I hope you enjoy the free time. You are welcome. And I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Have a great day.